But now that's some good cream corn that we just got off of 5 cobs. It was easy. It was simple. There it is. Creamy and delicious corn. Hey y'all, it's Tammy with Collard Valley Cooks. We are Southern cooking in Georgia, okay? We cook like our mamas did. We are going to just brush the silks off of these real quick. And then I'm going to put this down in the sink. When I cream corn, I always do it in the sink. I always put a sheet pan behind the sink so that when it splatters, it can splatter on the back part of the sheet pan instead of all over the place. So the first time, I make a very, very small cut. You can tell by how big that corn is on my knife that it's very thin. Okay, Mama always did that. Some people cut them off big, but you want to cut them off small and in several layers so that you can get a better, creamier corn, okay? It just tastes better, it's pretty, and it doesn't look like a bunch of big kernels, you know. I mean, if you wanted big kernel corn, you could open a can of corn because that's what it looks like. Now, this is the second slice. Let me show you how it looks up close. Well, let me grab another one. So once you slice it the second time, I'm fixing to start going really fast, but I kind of want to show y'all this up close. See how thin that is? So what I do is I cut it twice. I rake it off. You can cut it 3 times if you want to, but since I've got y'all on here, I'm just going to cut it twice and rake it. Now, once you go all the way around the cob and you've cut it twice, then you take your knife and you scrape out the starch. Now, this corn that we buy in the store, and most of even the corns that grow today, they really don't have that much cornstarch in them. When I grew up, we had field corn. That's what we grew the animals on the farm. With field corn, it was full of starch, and it was real easy to cream because the corn was so full of starch by itself. It didn't have any sugar at all in it, and I absolutely love field corn. A lot of people didn't even eat their field corn. They thought it was just for the animals, but a lot of Southern farmers grew up on field corn. We ate it. That's what we ate, and that's what we got used to. So this is a corn from the store. It's just a white corn. It is sweet, and it will not have a lot of starch in it. Once I get started on this corn and I show you how it starts frying up in the skillet, you're going to see it's not going to have a lot of starch, so we're probably going to add a little cornstarch and milk to it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of water to it. While it's in this bowl, we're going to add water till it's about right up to the top of the corn, and then we're going to take it over there, and we're going to put it in our skillet, and we're going to start making our corn. Okay. Now, this is my copper skillet. I decided we're going to put our corn in here on high. And once it cooks for a minute, I'm going to put a little starch and milk in it. Okay, so we're going to add some salt and pepper to it. I probably just put in a good ½ teaspoon of pepper because I like it. You don't have to put in that much. You can use a quarter if you want to. I'm going to put in about a ½ teaspoon of salt for now. I'm going to get out some margarine. I don't have any butter. I'm out. So we're going to put some margarine in it and make it good. You can use butter, of course, if that's what you want to use. Don't frown on me using margarine. Some people have to use margarine. I use them both. I just go back and forth. Whatever I'm in the mood for is what I do. And I'm putting in about a ½ stick, y'all, in here. Let me get something to stir it with. All right, I think I'm gonna bring y'all up a little bit closer. All right, it is on high. It's just now starting to get hot. It's just taking a minute. So we've got butter in there. We got salt in there. We got pepper in there. We got water in there. I'm gonna let some of this water burn off of it. And then once it starts burning off, we're gonna add a little bit of cornstarch with some milk, and we're gonna thicken it up. This corn needs to cook on high for at least 5 minutes or so. Once it starts to boil, and it's starting to boil around the edges, we're going to take some cornstarch, and I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And I'm going to take a little bowl, and I'm going to put some milk in it. So it'll probably wind up being at least about a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of milk. It needs to be cold so that it mixes in there well. This cornstarch, and put it in this milk. It's boiling good. And I'm going to whisk it together good so we don't have lumpy corn. We want cream corn, not lumpy corn. Now, with cornstarch, just like with flour, it blends well and disintegrates a lot easier if you have it in something cold than if you put it in something hot. You put it in something hot and it just wants to clump up. You put it in something cold and it blends well, okay? See, that's good and blended. It's nice and foamy on the top. I know I've got it good and stirred up. So I am from Collard Valley, Georgia. It is in Polk County. The city's name is Cedartown. I grew up in Collard Valley on a farm. We didn't farm a lot of food. We mostly had cattle, horses. When I was young, we had pigs, hundreds and hundreds of pigs. We did grow corn to feed the cows. We grew sugar cane at one time so that they would have what they call, I believe it's called old sorghum. You know, they put it in the tanks and the cows lick it off off the wheels. And I can remember being a kid, being out in the pasture and wanting something sweet and making the mistake of trying to eat some of that sorghum out of the cow's tank. And let me tell you, it wasn't very good. But that's kind of like what we did growing up. I'm going to add my starchy milk so that we can start to thicken this. Now, some people don't add the starch and they just fry the corn with butter and they serve it up that way. And some people add the starch and make it creamy. It's totally up to you. To me, real cream corn would be creamy. I've got another video on YouTube of me showing you how to shuck corn and do this, but I don't really put in the creamy part. All I do is fry it in some butter. So there's a difference in fried corn and cream corn. Make sure before you serve it, it's got enough salt in it. You always taste and make sure something's got enough salt in it before you put it on somebody's plate. But now that's some good cream corn that we just got off of 5 cobs. It was easy. It was simple. But I'm going to tell you, the key to creaming it is having a very sharp knife. If you don't have a knife sharpener, let me suggest you buy one. I have a favorite. It's called a SOG, S-O-G. It's on my website under my kitchen. But now I use a serrated knife just because it is part of my Cutco knife set, and it's shelf quality, so it's razor sharp. And buddy, if you got a razor sharp knife, you can cream up corn so fast. But y'all, I can remember when I was a kid, when we were growing up, Granny would get in the kitchen and all her daughter-in-laws would get in there with her, and we would all be doing everything together. So we would cut off the corn, and somebody would shuck it, and somebody would silk it, and we'd have 2 or 3 cutting it. And that's how we put up stuff. And even when we had bees, that's what we did. We would You know, it was a bunch of us in the kitchen, and we worked together, and we shared. We shared our labor, and we shared our food growing up. So let me show you how pretty this looks in the bowl. All right, so I just want to show you how creamy it is. There it is, creamy and delicious corn. Thanks for watching Collier Valley Cooks, where we cook like our mamas did, where you can learn how to cook like your mama did, or your granny did, or your granddaddy did, whoever was the cook in the Southern family. Y'all have a wonderful day. See you next time on Collier Valley Cooks.